Transformational Business Coach. We are live. If you are not seeing this quite, just hit refresh. I always say that even though I know that you can't see it. Hit refresh. I'm just going to put that in the chat. Hit refresh if you can't see me. Okay. So we are going live again with our fantastic part 2 of our creating content. And before I jump into the very quick presentation, I want to make sure if anybody has any questions about after Tuesday. So did you do the workshop? Or the workbook? Did you go through and kind of identify where, additionally your message is coming out? What are you actually trying to get across? What's your call to action? Now, that's something that we didn't talk about so much on Tuesday, but your content should always have a call to action. So if we're looking at blog posts, we want to always have a option to opt in at the bottom of every blog post. If we are looking at video content, then we want to still be able to drive people. YouTube has amazing tools now where you can actually create links in a video. You can encourage them to subscribe. They can click on it and they can go to your opt-in. YouTube even has abilities for you to have buy now options in there, which is amazing. So people can buy products straight from a YouTube video. And that is powerful. So we want to make sure that not only in addition to our key messages, that we have very strong calls to action. And this is where I'm going to empower everyone to really reach into their little communications bucket and actually say to themselves, again, we're going to talk about the self-worth over and over again, but that your product or your package or your service has every right to be in this world. And part of that having every right to be in this world is to ask for the sale. So it is to say, I have this available. Would you like to buy it? This is how business has always been. It hasn't changed over the millions of years or thousands, I guess, tens of thousands of years that humans have been on the earth. Really, it comes down to, I have this product. Would you like to buy it? And then the customer says, yes, I would like to buy it. How do you take payment? Or they say, no, I would not like to buy it at this time. And that's really business, okay? So it is offering. It's very interesting to me to see online the plethora of people who are offended when their friends and family sell to them. We see it a lot with the direct sales ladies. They get really frustrated when they offer a product and somebody says, no, why are you selling to me? Except the thing is that we're always being sold to. It doesn't really matter. And I think it's funny that we are more offended by it from our friends and family. And maybe it's because it's a personal connection or we feel like they've crossed the line. But the thing is, shouldn't we be supporting our friends and family? And I'm not saying buy people's products and services just because they're friends and family, but we can support them by, saying no nicely or referring them to other people. Excuse me. So that's just a little Marisa's soapbox to begin this, but I want to see what is everybody's, what came up over Tuesday. Excuse me. Has things come up on in the workbooks? Do we know what our key messages are now? Are we able to kind of move forward and then find the people who want to hear what we have to say? Do we have our calls to action? Is anyone kind of confused what kind of call to action on the end of the content is? These are things that we want to address before we go forward. I'm going to start screen sharing just in case, and then I'll take a quick peek here, see if I have any questions in the chat. Go in here. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to just hit read chat here. I know we've got a couple people on today. I know Thursday at lunch, there's always going to be lower. And if you are watching this on the replay, please do hit reply on any of my emails. Ask me questions. Don't go forward with this by yourself. You don't need to. I am here to answer the questions in the emails just as much as I am here. Okay, I don't think I have anything in the chat. I'm just going to double check. It's a little slow today, the chat function that I use. Oh, Alyssa says she totally failed to do my workbook. No, we don't fail. The only time we fail is when we quit. And you technically haven't quit if you haven't done it at all. You just haven't started yet, Alyssa. So no failing, you just haven't started it yet, or you haven't completed it yet. And that's okay. This is your business. This is your life. It's not like, I was going to give you an extra gold star for having the workbook done. It just helps us if you have any questions. And by all means, it doesn't end now. If something comes up, do hit me an email. And Alyssa, thank you for sending me your contact information. I do appreciate that. And so what we want to do is just kind of reach in right now. So those of you who are joining us today, kind of look and see, is there questions that we need to address before we go any further? Do we know what our message is? Do we know what our ideal client is? Do we know what our call to action is? How do we get people to the buy process? There's a lot of going on right now in the online space about nurturing. And while I do believe it, I do use nurture sequences in my business, and for my clients' businesses, we look at nurture sequences. But the challenge is that we can't keep going forever without asking someone to buy. We can't just expect people to be intuitive about where our products are. We build sales funnels and we build landing pages and we build websites for the purpose of helping people get from A to B. If A to B is here I am, please sign up for my email, that's a call to action. That's a conversion. Okay. If we create a sales page and it says, I have this product available, would you like to buy it? If they say yes, then that is a conversion. So we want to be, as business people, really cognizant about what our purpose is and what we are trying to get people to do. I want to start off this conversation too by saying that everybody has the right to make money. I know that might trigger some people and it might make you feel a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to say right now, you absolutely do have a right to make money, and you do have a right to ask for the sale. You also have a right to charge what you're worth. Okay, and this kind of goes into a bigger conversation, but I want to start off today making sure that that's kind of the theme, because there's no sense being a business if you're not going to make money. Okay, then you're just you're a volunteer, and you're going to get tired, and you're going to get burnt out, and your mortgage payments aren't going to get paid, and your cats aren't going to get fed, and your kids are going to wonder if they will ever get new clothes again. As my cat very eloquently meows beside me, because his food dish is probably getting low. But this is the thing that we all have a right to do, and we have a right to be here. I know if there's women watching this, I know this is probably one of the hardest things, because we have a lot of ancestral stories as well as maybe current stories about our right to make money, and our right to have money, and our right to save money, and our right to charge exactly what we're worth. There's a lot of conversations right now about women getting charged or getting paid 20% less than men. The beauty part about running your own business is you actually get to set your price tag. Now, you can allow yourself to be paid less than other people, or you can actually step into your power and charge what you know you're worth. Whole different topic. Let's get into content. If anything is coming up for people, though, put it in the chat. Okay, a couple things. I just want to go over a few things from Tuesday. What is the format? Are we doing writing? And I'd like to know, what is everybody kind of leaning towards? Are we writing? Are we doing, are we doing video? Are we doing audio? Are we doing podcasts? Is there going to be live one-to-one interaction? Are you going to be doing public speaking? Are you going to be going into networking groups and doing presentations? Are you going to be doing, kind of reaching out to people and saying, inviting them to a powerful conversation where you show what's possible for them? Podcasts, guest posts, are you going to be doing some writing for the HuffPo or Elephant Journal or Mind Body Green, or even Medium.com is interesting because it is, and if you haven't checked out Medium.com, do check out Medium.com. It is a social network, and it is audience driven, so anybody can sign up, anyone can put out content. There's a high search and share with Medium. A lot of articles are getting passed around. LinkedIn is another possibility. We're kind of diving into some social media areas, and that content, the worksheet that I sent around in today's email, will help you kind of identify your topic and really plan out your content for the week. And if there's any questions about that, we'll go through it a little bit, but I want to make sure that that's available for everybody. So think about where you're getting that content out there. Veronica says, when I think messaging, I think quick, one sentence elevator pitch to get what I do across. Is this what I should be focusing on? Veronica, yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't. So you're definitely going to be coming up with longer, when I talk about, Veronica, we actually went through the other day, I just quickly captured it because I was going to write kind of a blog post. Ignore this here. So, like this is like a landing page template. What can proper systems do for you and your business? What else can they do beyond the obvious? How will life and business change for them? Who else will benefit? What happens if they don't hire you? What happens when they do hire you? And how easy is it to hire you and get on with their life? Okay, so that's kind of like a basic landing page template. You might throw in things like who you are and whatnot, but that's kind of the idea behind it. Those are also your messages, but your key messages are really quick things that you kind of always keep in the back of your mind. And when I used to do a lot of media relations, one of the things that we'd always establish is our 3 key messages, so that we can actually, and they are sound bites. They are things that we can drop into a conversation and they're impactful and people will remember them. The reason why I stress to do that is because that gives you the confidence and the knowledge of who you are and what you do. There's nothing worse than going into a situation where you have a potential client and they ask you what you do and you're like, well, I kind of do. No, we don't have time for that. We want to be like, hello, I'm Veronica Jans. Yes, actually, I help entrepreneurs create the foundational elements of their business to help them make more money, be less stressed, and at the end of the day, have more fun with what they do. Like that is kind of that succinct, really nice, soundbite-ish, and you might have other key messages that support it. Oh, really? Tell me more. Like, what's the foundation of any business? Well, first of all, I believe definitely in the systems that we have in place. Not only should they talk to each other, but they should be consistent, accessible, and easy and enjoyable, like things that you want to work with. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing it to the side. Oh, okay. So that was a key message. That was a key message for the systems, right? And then when they think, when they ask you for their what else is necessary for a good business? Well, you're like, well, project management. And then you might go into other things. There might be key messages for each of those, but you're able to really shoot them off at the top of your tongue. Then what's going to happen is you're going to then create those sub things. So in that worksheet that we had is if you are creating a whole elements on systems, well, then what kind of content, what else? What are people actually experiencing in their life? And I know you're doing this right now, Veronica, so it's going to come to you, but thing is, like, when we look at this is like, okay, well, what are we going to write about systems? Like, what's actually happening? Well, nobody knows they need a system, but they do know that they're dropping balls left, right, and center. Okay, so when we look at, how do people do it all? This is something that's really clear for women as well. There's going to be a ton of Google searches where you're going to be able to find keywords about, how do I do it all? How do I have a life and a family and, work and run a business and do all this networking and stuff that I have to do and still have time for my yoga, my Kundalini massage and all the other stuff that I'm supposed to be fitting into my life. So those are things that you can write on. Those are those subtopics. So that, I think it's like in page 2 or 3 of the workbook, is the question where I said, what else do they need? Like, what's not happening in their life? Yeah, go a step further. What else does it solve? Those are those lovely topic areas that you can then focus on that support your key message. But ideally, what you want to do is in each of these content that you're creating, whether it's writing or video, is you come back to that key message and you repeat that key message. Like, without systems, these are the other things in your life that fall apart. This is where the organization starts to go into chaos. You're repeating these key messages again and again so they know exactly who you're about, and they're going to remember this and refer you to other people who you will love to work with. When we're not clear in our key messages about what we do and who we serve, that's when we get a lot of referrals like, oh, you should totally help my friend Joe. Like, he's just so messy and I can't stand his clutter. Well, you're not going to go organize his workshop or his closet. But what you are going to do is you're going to, organize like his business so that he actually has time to go clean up his workshop, right? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. And any other questions, everybody just drop them in the chat. And this is something that's really important. And sorry, I have this cough. I'm just going to try and clear it out here. Is that we do not focus necessarily on what we sell, but what we're going to bring about for people. So Alyssa had a really great one on Tuesday where, she said she helps bring legitimacy and professionalism for business people. Well, this is, or authors, sorry, not business people, for authors. So the fact that they're actually going to edit and get their work done and pitch it and do like kind of more the professional route, it's going to allow them both personally that legitimacy. So can you imagine someone's just written this beautiful nonfiction piece of work and they're so proud of it, and they say to their family, like, I wrote a book, and they're like, oh, their family's like, oh, that's awesome. And then they start to kind of pitch it around to like local bookstores, and the bookstores are like, well, okay, but this doesn't like, I don't think we can carry this as is. But then they go to Alyssa, and Alyssa allows like the editing and helps them, get through the process, and they really go the step by steps, and out comes this really professional, gorgeous book. And then they go to the bookstores and they start pitching it, and then they start, getting it on Amazon, and they start getting it onto all the bookstores and Barnes and Noble and Chapters in Canada. And then that's when they start to really feel really good about themselves. It's that kind of that end result that we start writing content about. Yes, there's going to be things like, how do I get a book published, or how do I, be a legitimate book author? Those are definitely viable content topics, but it's the other stuff afterwards that we want to talk about too, because sometimes people might have a book idea in their head, but they've pushed it to the side, and they're dealing with other things in their life that are indirectly as a result of pushing that book idea aside. Those are opportunities where you can start talking about those topics, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, one of those really great ways to cure that or to help, facilitate that issue is by writing a book, is to really, unleash your creativity. It's to allow yourself to explore your imagination and be that person that you have been hoping to be. Veronica says, when I think messaging, I think quick. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's the same thing she said last time. And Terry says, you've given me so much to think about. I'm just starting to sort it out. Yeah, Terry and I had a session this morning, so she's got double stuff here. Okay. Any other questions before I move on a little bit? So yeah, so we want to think about, what are the things that people need to know that directly relate to your product? And then we have that call to action. So we don't want our content to be so far out that we can't do a direct call to action, but we want it to be, we want it to be relatable. So let me give another example, like for Veronica. So Veronica, you could very easily be doing, public speaking talks for entrepreneurs that talks about the chaos, like how to clear out the chaos in your business. And one of the things that you're always going to come back to is, really stripping the business and using some of these keywords that we've developed for your brand, so that it's repeatable. People are going to remember it. And if they don't remember your name or your business name, they're going to be remembering some of these keywords that you will have repeated in all of your content, and they'll Google that. They'll be like, oh, okay, the person who was at, such and such conference, who was talking about, her business laid bare. Well, what was that? That's going to come up. Okay, so that's why we want to repeat this stuff. We have 3 or 4 key messages that we're going to be implementing in every single content piece that we do. Okay, let me know if that's got any issues or if we need to do any brainstorming. All right. Product listings are another thing. If you've got a product, again, you want to make sure that there is some consistency, that there is a continuation between your products. People can tell your products versus somebody else's because of the product listings, because of the description, because of, the colors that you use. All right, so let's talk about more places for your content. So again, we talked about this a little last week, and it's still a little bit of a follow-up. You've got your main website content. That's a given. You're going to want to have it all over that, having a blog. Do look at your image titles, anything that you create. Social media profiles, make sure you've got your key messages in your social media profile. It's interesting. A friend of mine, she was just saying yesterday, went for a walk, and she was saying about how, in her Twitter profile, she has that she doesn't do high fives, and she's kind of a little bit famous for not doing high fives. That's her consistency. She carries that across. So then, people always kind of joke about her, like, oh, that's the person who doesn't do high fives. And it seems kind of funny, but it is a gimmick. It is an ability for people to remember something about you so that you become memorable. And this is something we all want as entrepreneurs. We want to be memorable. Big brands do it, little brands do it. We want people to know who we are, remember what we do, and know how to refer us. all of our social media content. In my Creative Entrepreneur Rockstars, which is my Facebook group, today I posted that I'm having a lot of fun playing with new apps like Ripple, RIPL, Legend, Adobe Post, and still like WordSwag has had a huge update. So they've got some really cool stuff coming in their way too, but just a lot of animated kind of content, ability to catch people's attention, really deliver that message across in very short little bits. Those are definitely things that I'm having fun with. YouTube. So, this is something I need to get better at this, is putting all of my stuff back on YouTube. And yes, it does take some work, and you can search engine optimize the crap out of it, but it's definitely worth it. There's a high search relation for YouTube right now, and it's interactive and people share it, and there's a lot of commenting ability and gaining a tribe there. Just make sure that you do have a clear call to action in your YouTubes for it to either buy a product or sign up for your list, or to even subscribe to your YouTube channel so that people can find you again. So where else do you want to go? I want to know in the content. All right, and I created some content app list here for you. So when we talk about, really spreading our message and being consistent, there's definitely tools like Edgar and Hootsuite and Buffer where they'll publish for you automatically. One of the things I will just caution is that Facebook hates them. And in a small part, some of the other social medias, they'll actually know that you've scheduled things and they will suppress them. Facebook's really famous for that. It's not so bad if you have it in a group. Of course, it's going to show. But when you're posting, and if it's in your Facebook group, that's definitely doable. If you're posting in other people's Facebook group, there's just the risk of being inauthentic. And when I hate that word, but, just really like not there. If people respond to you, do make sure that you are still getting the notifications so that you can respond. Adobe Post is one of my favorite image makers. So if you've ever seen any of my social media images, they're made in Adobe Post. It's just a really beautiful way to have consistent branding, in my opinion. They have some just beautiful templates that you can use over and over again. I do recommend picking one of them, one or two of them to kind of go between so that you do have some consistency in your images. Ripple is like a little video that you can create. You can either do a video or an animated GIF. They have, again, beautiful templates. There are some free ones that you can use. And then if you have the free app, it has the Ripple logo on it. I want to say like $13.99 a month or $10.99 a month US. You can also subscribe, get your logo on it, and then have access to a ton more layouts. So there's that. Legend is also, if you've ever seen like kind of like the flashy, more, I would say like vector kind of text only animated GIFs. Those are done by Legend. I love it. WordSwag's been around for a while, but it's still really good. They've actually just really updated things, and you're able to put like text on pictures really nicely, and they've got lots of different features. I actually use it a lot I might create my posts in Adobe Post, but then I add my logo on in WordSwag. And then Canva, and most people know what Canva is. If you don't, it's really like an online Photoshop. They have a lot of images, stock images that you can access, as well as templates and layouts. There is some cost if you use elements outside of their free. One thing I do caution, though, is that Canva is getting very popular, and that your image that you select out of Canva might be seen in a lot more places. So there can be some inconsistency in brand. And I've used some Canva for some of my stuff, and I've really kind of pushed a lot of that aside, because I really am starting to refine my own brand, and I want it to be consistent and not like anyone else's. So there's just like a word of caution there. But that's the thing, is this content can be images or it can be text. This is really up to you and your business and what you do, but it also has a small amount, I want to say, of what your community wants and what they respond to. And that's really a scientific experiment. You're going to have to play with what they do respond to, if they do like images that move, especially if you're like in Instagram. The thing is, when you're scrolling through image upon image, when all of a sudden something starts flashing at you, you kind of do automatically look at it. It's one of the reasons why, in the early days of website, design that we used to have this like lovely L-shaped to websites, and there was always like these flashing banners and on the side, because we got so used to seeing the images that people had to disrupt what we normally saw. So anytime that your images or your content can disrupt what is normally expected in a space, it's actually a good thing. I don't recommend, neon colors and graphics that might cause epileptic seizures, but I do recommend, looking to see if your content does stand out. I think I said on Tuesday too, like in Instagram, if you're looking to really capitalize on hashtags, you would look into a hashtag that you want to dominate in, that you think has a lot of like opportunity for your high clients. You would look at it and look for all the pictures. Like if there's really kind of like faded out or transparent images, you might have like a really vibrant picture in there. It's going to stand out when people are looking in the hashtag. Okay, just double checking to see if I have any questions. Hopefully I haven't lost anybody here. All right. So I'm going to go over key messages again, just because I want to make sure that it is really clear. We do want it to be succinct. So because we want them that you can remember them. Like you're not going to want to have a cue card or a note on your phone every time someone asks you what you do. So I just want to see if anybody here on the call today, like have we kind of got our key messages? Do we know who we are in the world? Do we know our purpose? Do we know why that we're doing what we do? And really, it doesn't have to be for approval from anyone else. I do really want to encourage everyone to just kind of, do what they want, and really identify with what they want to be in the world. Because what's going to happen is if we don't, we're going to be building businesses that are not, they're not fun. And it's only going to be a certain time before we are tired of them and we want to move on. All right, let's see where we're at here. So key messages. So again, we want to repeat them over and over. Not only do we want to repeat them over and over, but we want our clients to repeat them over and over. And this is like hugely important because, I mean, I don't know about anyone here, but I don't really like spending a ton of money on marketing because I like money for me. I also much prefer when people do refer me because it is more genuine. They kind of almost pre-sell for me. When I think about products that I buy, I also take a look if somebody refers something and says like, wow, this is really amazing, or it's changed my life, or, I just love how it looks on me. I definitely buy into it. I definitely will, look at purchasing something like that over and over. Now, it hasn't always worked out for me, especially in webinar software, but that's funny. But it's definitely a buyer beware still, but I mean, I play into it. Definitely. I take the responses and advice from other people. I know I have a lot of people who ask me a lot about what kind of products that I use, especially when it comes to apps or when it comes to things like webinar software. I also I will try out a lot of things before I decide whether I like something. I like to try a lot of things on before I decide which one I want. But that social proof, that ability to, have that referral network, if they can repeat your key messages because you've repeated them so much, that means that you're more likely going to get the ideal clients that you want. Okay. Steffa says, I used to schedule directly Facebook page, but tried last week and noticed I couldn't schedule more than a day ahead. Silly if they don't like to use other services. I think, Steffa, one of the reasons why that's come down is because a lot of people have been scheduling stuff out in Facebook, and then disasters happened, and so that their messages were not appropriate. I have a feeling that's why Facebook, I know I think it was Hootsuite I went to schedule in the other day, something I do a lot of Twitter stuff, and it came up and said like, do you want to be sent a reminder before this goes out? And I was like, yes, because you forget if you go too far in advance. So I wonder if that's where Facebook has started to put that little corral in for us, because we don't have the ability to keep track of our own stuff. That's just a hypothesis. I have no idea. Okay, sound bites again. So these are things that if you are ever interviewed, if you're on a podcast, if you all of a sudden get media showing up to your event, if you get interviewed after you did a public speaking event, or maybe it's just on the spot, it's like all of a sudden the local news is asking you, what do you do? You're able to actually repeat that really quickly. Think about just, everybody just take a moment right now and think about like what that would look like if a camera was all of a sudden thrust in your face and, you got this question like, hi, what's your name? What do you do? Well, that's an opportunity really to market your stuff, right? You're like, hi, I'm Stefan from New York. I help, female entrepreneurs, particularly mothers, set up the boundaries and controls that they need in their life so that they can actually achieve their highest level of success. Well, that's going to sound a lot better than, hi, my name's Steffa, I'm from New York, and I help women do things, and I'm just being overly, and Steffa can like hit me later, but this is definitely like, something that we want to work on and have that soundbite-ish ability. Recurring. I can't say this over and over again. It's definitely, obviously look at this. I've done this repeated over and over, recurring. I want you to be able to incorporate these key messages in all of your content. It's just going to help you create that consistency and that brand that people are looking for. If I am on somebody's website and I see that they're all over the place with key messages, like I'm out of there. But if I see someone who repeats it over and over again on their about page, and their home page and their work with me page, where there's that consistent values, kind of really outlining what they do over and over again, I'm more likely to be like, yeah, I'm confident in this person's ability to get what I need for them done. That they're not going to flake off and go off on a different idea or tangent. Recognizable. This is something that is really important when we think about our content, and even when we're creating stuff. And this is where I recommend something like Adobe Post, where you can kind of, use the same template over and over again to get that consistency. One of the great social media people that has consistency that I love is Denise Duffield-Thomas. She does the Lucky Bitch, courses, boot camp, and variety of money, wealth, consciousness courses. She has bees everywhere. So like she always calls everybody the lucky bees, instead of saying lucky bitch over and over again, but the lucky bees. She has bees in everything. And she uses like this kind of turquoise, blue, and purple pattern. She actually has clothing made with this pattern, with this fabric that she wears to her public speaking events. She wears it in her intro videos. She wears it on her videos where she's teaching things. Anytime she's doing any kind of social media post, she's got this shirt with these bees and this pattern all over it. Like that's recognizable. And then when she does, I'm in her Lucky Bee boot camp, and when she does like these motivational sayings for us, these things that we kind of see if they triggered or we need to tap them out, that pattern is on there, that same image is over and over again. And it actually, it makes her life easier too, because she's got this consistency, because she has this template already down pat. All she has to do is add in her content and then go. So you're not always constantly, starting from scratch and kind of deciding, okay, well, what does my, my thing look like? Any of my worksheets or my templates have this kind of this pink watercolor around it, and then the Marisa Lowen branding, and it makes it easy. I literally just input and then I go. So what's your recognizable brand and your key messages? And this leads right into brand. Brand is so much more than a logo. Brand is so much more than picking colors. It is definitely when you start to define these key messages and what you do over and over again, that is going to be your brand. I think of like any kind of people that you admire. What do you think this is a good little exercise, is think about 3 people that you really admire, and they could be business people or just people you admire in life. Put down 3 key messages for them. What do you think their 3 key messages are that they repeat over and over again? What are the truths about them that you believe to be true? And then go to Wikipedia or whatever and see if they actually are true. All right, so I've kept this one short because I really wanted to have full interaction for everyone. So please do, and I'm going to switch back to my face so that you can see me. I do want to encourage anyone, if you do have questions, to do put them in the chat. There is time. We have time. I've kept it. I like to keep my webinars to like 20 minutes, 40 minutes. So this one's actually been a bonus for me, that I haven't gone completely overboard in the information. is everyone ready? Is everyone going to be putting out their messages? I would love for you to tag me in when you're starting to put some of this content out. Give me an email saying this blog post has been out there. I want to know. I want to see it. I want to be able to, give you some feedback where you can fine tune it. When we start to look at search engine optimization in the next week, which is we have search engine optimization and we have social media optimization coming up in the next 2 weeks for webinars. So if you're interested in that, watch for those emails to get signed up for those. But this is the beautiful part where we're starting to fine tune everything. This is where we're starting to really dig in and make our message not only like wonderful and describe exactly who we are, but easy that we can just repeat it over and over again because we've got these basics. So I want to make sure that this isn't. So tag me in it. Tag me in the social media post. Tag me in, like wherever. Send me an email and say, Marisa, this is where I showed up this week and this is my content. What do you think? Totally open for that. I want to be able to help everyone get along. And this is something that I feel really important, not only just because it'll help your business and help you make money, absolutely hands down, but it actually creates better content in the world. It just actually creates better communication, better, channels for everyone to talk and get, acquainted with each other. It's better business. I believe that, we have really kind of left our economy over to governments and major organizations. We're taking it back now, but there's so much potential for small business and entrepreneurs to really step into the space and say, I've got a different work model and I've got a different product and this is available for you. So this stuff is really passionate to me. I just love it, especially if you're creatives and artists and people who kind of have traditionally not charged for their work. That's where we're looking at a really big shift in the world, as well as this acceptance that every time we do work or put out effort, it deserves to be paid unless we choose, unless we have set the boundaries and course for not, we're getting energy exchange in another way. That's all money is, right? We've just decided that, money is the way that we like to traditionally pay people. There's other things. There's like bartering. There's just like really great goodwill, testimonials. There's above that. I hate saying exposure because I just think that that's, kind of iffy. But when we look at things like HuffPo or, Elven Journal and Mind Body Green, like they don't pay for those articles. So you have to look at how you're going to get that exchange for that work from them because you do deserve it. Absolutely. When you put out that article, make sure that your bio has a call to action. It has your website. It has maybe even a specific landing page for those. One of the things I think we're really missing is doing some of these specific targeted landing pages on our social media networks. I showed Steffa a couple weeks ago. This woman, she did this phenomenal job. She does Periscope, and I think Blab. But anyway, she has like a specific landing page in her Periscope bio that basically is like, hey, Periscopers, so glad you're here. Here's a bit about me. Here's what I do. Here's also my top Periscopes. Here's also my top like related blog posts and videos to, the content that most people love for me. If you'd like to get a hold of me or sign up for my newsletter, here's this information too. And it's just this beautiful, curated, wonderful content that is specifically her, has her key messages. Her top Periscope and her top blog posts are all aligned. They all look like they belong to the same person. Those are things that I want to start seeing more of out in the world, and that it's going to help. It's really going to help. Okay. My chat has frozen. So I'm just gonna, if I've missed anything, hold on. I might have to go back. This is where you get to see my face. Oh, because I think I've been disconnected. Hold on one sec. Oh, technology, right? I don't know if it's going to load for me. Let's see. If not, please do email me at hello@marisalowen.com, or you can always join us in the Creative Coterie where this video lives, as well as other videos and other webinars in these series, as well as workbooks and tools. Then you can get access to me whenever you want. That's how that works. Oh, I don't know if I can get the chat up. I don't know if it's my web page, or I don't know if it's going to come up. So if you have posted in the web or in the chat, I do apologize. Oh, here we go. I got it. Steph says, sound better than what I say. Yeah, feel free to steal that, whatever. Veronica says, consistency and brand is so much easier and sometimes effortless because I'm just being me all the time, or I'm just being all of me. I'm actually excited to write more blog posts. Consistency and brand is so much easier. Oh, she put it twice because it was that good. Veronica, it was that good. Yeah, consistency and brand is so much easier and sometimes effortless because I'm just being all of me. Yeah, when we're trying to be someone else, oh, I get this all the time. I sit down to write a blog post or an article for somebody, and I'm trying to be like professional Marisa, instead of just like, let's get it down to business and make some money, Marisa. It's always hard. It's hard to write that. I'm a part of like a group book, and it's funny, when I signed up for it, I was really gung-ho on it and I loved the message. And then I changed over like the course of a few months, about just like how I even valued myself and my business and my message into the world. And I've been struggling trying to come up with this chapter because I've changed. I changed my original message. And so today I'm actually going to sit down after this webinar and just really dive into doing that. But I think now I've got a really clear idea of who I want to be in the world, and this message that I think women all over need to hear. And so I'm actually really excited too, but it was a struggle because I wasn't being me, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to write this article and it's really not going to represent me. And so I really resisted that. So yeah, when we do step into it, the other thing is that I was a corporate writer for years. And so it was really hard for me when I left my corporate job to get rid of that corporate speak, like that really like, I mean, not to say that we didn't write with active voice, which is really important, but I just like, it's just so like point A, point B. Whereas I'm really like, I'm a very different talker. I do say like, I do say, I do kind of put into that, and I gesture with my hands, right? So that's who I am. So I much prefer video, and I love just being able to turn on a camera and like whip out this great little message and have it be really quick and concise and just get it out there. So that was learning that too. So knowing what content is your most, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to get on video because what if I say something, especially like Facebook Live or Periscope or Blab? That's okay. It's really okay. You know, until you become really super famous and people are analyzing every single word and they want to pin you up against the wall, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can always delete it. I know they say nothing ever goes away on the internet, but you can delete things. So you can make sure that they go. But, you know, like really just be confident, know your stuff, get the things out there. Unless you're running for politics, then just don't record anything or write anything, because the Wayback Machine will find it. But if you're not planning to write for politics and you really want to have this like unapologetic, fearless brand, then go for it. We have been in this really crazy time where we've been really critical about what people say and put out there. But I think this is like the ability, oh, my computer just pitched forward on me. I think the ability to actually start putting stuff out there again and having it being an evolving process and forgiving ourselves and forgiving when other people maybe don't say what they exactly meant, but giving them that opportunity to expand their mind is a powerful communications tool. And this is my want for the world. Oh, Veronica says post twice. Whatever, Veronica, that's okay. Okay, so if there's any other questions, please do email me at hello@marisalowen.com. I'm excited to hear from everybody. If you're hearing this on the replay, you have till Friday at 6 p.m. that you need to watch both the videos. Next week, we are diving into search engine optimization, one of my favorite topics, as well as some social media optimization and how we need to show up and what are the best messages that we can put out there for each social media, some of the major social media topics. And also kind of going into more of this worksheet that I sent you out. One of the things I do want to say is that what I believe what this worksheet will actually do for you is I believe that we work really too hard and that we shouldn't work too hard. With the worksheet, you can actually pick a topic for each week and then figure out your hashtags and your key messages that you want to have come across, then decide what the medium is and how you're going to put it out there and where it's going to go. And then the weekdays are actually so I'm going to give an example. Say your topic is, you know, how to write a nonfiction book. That's your topic. And you've created a blog post on how to write a nonfiction book. But the supplementary materials, maybe you're going to do a quick YouTube video and you're going to put it up there. And then maybe you're going to create little clips out of the YouTube video and you're going to put it on Facebook and you're going to put it on Instagram and you're going to put it on Twitter. And each day you're going to put out little segments, or maybe you put out little quotes on images from your blog post, but all of them are going to link back to your blog post. And on your blog post is you're going to be your opt-in to get into your email. You see how that works? That's like a mini sales funnel. So you're creating all this content based on one topic and you're going to talk about it throughout the week. And you're going to basically be everywhere about it, but you're going to provide different information and different elements of that topic. If you need examples, I'm going to start doing this next week for my own brand. This is what I used to do for all of my corporate clients, and it's really great because it builds, people add to the conversation, they get to see you in all different kinds of mediums. If they're following you on the mediums, you can encourage people like, love what you saw on our Facebook feed. Wow, you should see what's going on our Instagram on this topic, or what, go join us on Twitter, or go join us on LinkedIn, or whatever your social media features are. You can encourage people to follow you as well to see the whole picture, the whole story. But basically the idea is you're creating one topic a week or once a month, or once every 2 weeks, depending on what you do for your business. It's up to you. You get to make the rules, but you're going to be doing one topic. So you're not kind of constantly trying to think up more topics all the time and all the content. You're going to reuse, you're going to segment, you're going to take snapshots out, you're going to use it across. And I'm going to be doing that over the next week or so. So if you want to see how I do it, next week I'm going to be promoting one webinar a little bit, and I'm going to be the whole week talking about the one topic. So you get to see that and in action and ask me questions. Absolutely. Always hello@marisalowen.com, or my Facebook group, which is the Creative Entrepreneur Rockstars. Or if you've joined the Coterie, then absolutely we'll have huge discussions as well as a group call next week in the Coterie. So thanks very much, everyone. And I hope you're having, I'm just going to make sure, nope, I don't have any other comments. I hope you're having a great day, and happy Thursday.